Hi, I'm Phoebe. This is my channel, Writing for a Hobby. And this is the AuthorTube Newbie Tag, which I had planned to do after I had a few videos out, but I then forgot about. So I'm doing it now, even though my channel's existed for a few months already. So question 1 is, how did you find out about AuthorTube? I have been interested in increasing my skill as a writer for a while now, so I was already looking up writercraft videos for how to improve different areas. It's an area I've been watching for a while, and that's how I found out about AuthorTube, by wanting to improve my own skill. Question 2, what genres do you write in? I write in the fantasy genre mostly, also write science fiction, but I'm quite happy to dabble in mostly anything. So science fiction and fantasy is what I've written the most. What is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? Examples: children's YA, NA, and adult, etc. My preferred writing tense is, I go between present, and I change my tenses all the time. So I wouldn't really say that I have a preferred writing tense because I go between past and present with that. My point of view, my preferred is third person, but I will write in first person as well, depending on what my story needs. And my preferred genre of writing is, I thought it was YA, but the more I write, the more I think that my stories may actually be adult. So I'm just going to write my story to the end and see whether it turns out as a YA story or a adult story by the time I'm finished. Question 4, are you a plotter, pantser, or plantser? I definitely started out as a pantser. I can still pants my way through a story. It's like just sit down and write everything that comes to mind. But these days I'm finding that I'm more of a plantser, that especially with transitioning from writing fan fiction, where I didn't need to do any plotting because I already had a world to play with, to now creating my own world and my own characters. And I'm finding that I'm having to plot a little bit to work out who my characters are and work out the world they're in and tell the story I want to tell. So these days I'm more of a plantser. Question 5, are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? I am yet to be published. I haven't even finished. Actually, I finished 2 original stories last year, but they're not finished to seeking publication yet. So everything else I've done is fan fiction, and that is out there in the world. But I'm yet to be published, and I'm aiming to be traditionally published when I am published. So I might seek hybrid further down the track, but I want to be traditionally published first, so that's what I'm seeking. Question 6, what publishing company, literacy agency, and or printing company are you represented by or use? If you are not yet published, what is your dream publishing house and or literacy agent? And I don't have a dream agent or a dream publisher. And I've never even given that type of thing a proper thought of which company would I like to represent me. It's like I would like to be represented by someone that's known, but I don't have a dream one or in mind, and I don't even know who any agents are at the moment. So yeah, I don't have a dream one. Question 7, what AuthorTube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? This is the reason why I didn't do this video right away when I first created this channel, was because I wasn't sure what I actually wanted to do with this channel. I knew I wanted to talk about my writing, but I didn't know what exactly. So what I'm planning at the moment is writing related videos related to my journey as an author, from from trying to wrap up all my fan fiction that I have started at the moment, because I don't like starting a project and not finishing it. So I'm trying to finish all those, but I'm also trying to write more original fiction. So you'll have videos about my journey as a writer, and on Fridays, if I ever get back to it, I plan to do videos reading my fan fiction that I have already, because I want to get better at reading my stories aloud, but I don't want to share anything of mine that's original because I want that to be published eventually. But I want to get better at reading stories aloud, which is why I've got my fan fiction Friday videos that I did a few of at the start of the year and haven't done more of. And I want to do some challenges, different writing challenges, because I don't have a set writing routine when it comes to writing, so I like trying different challenges. And my first challenge that I have in mind, which I don't know when this video will come out, but the first one I have in mind is adding 100 words to every started incomplete story that I already have, either in a day or in a weekend, because I have a couple of hundred fanfictions started that are incomplete. So it may be over a whole weekend, or it may just be over a day. I haven't decided exactly yet, but I want to do challenge videos as well. If there's any challenges that you've seen writing related, I'd love them tagged below so I can have a look at them, so I can decide if there's something that I actually want to do or not. So yeah, that's what I plan to do. Question 8, when did you start writing? I've always been writing ever since I could remember, before I could actually write words. I remember telling stories with my toys and in picture, and recording stories on video cassette, but not video cassette, I didn't have, on a cassette tape, I didn't have video anything when I was younger. So I've always been writing. Question 9, what is the first story you ever wrote? Like I've said, I've always been writing, but the first one I remember, I think I was in grade 3, so about 10-ish, and our teacher had us write a story for school, and I wrote a story about fairies. It was a little flip book, and I can't remember what the story was about besides that it was about fairies, and that it was one of my best marks I'd ever got on assignment. And I was quite upset that the teacher never gave me back my assignment, because I really loved it and I wish I still had it to go back and see what I actually wrote about, because besides knowing it was about fairies and a flip book, I can't remember anything else about it. Question 10, what authors have inspired your writing the most? Very early on was C.S. Lewis. I loved the Chronicles of Narnia. They were my favourite books for a very long time. So C.S. Lewis is definitely a real big one. And the other one is Ian Colfer, who wrote the Artemis Fowl series, and Diana Wynne Jones, because I loved both their works of how they combined science fiction and fantasy into the one genre and I loved it. So they're definitely my big 3 authors that inspired me with my writing. Question 11, do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get writing whenever you find the time? I try to schedule a writing session in the morning before work and in the afternoon after work, but it's mostly whenever I can find the time to write, I write. So I don't really have a proper schedule. And it's like usually my morning ones get missed out because I'll get up 5 minutes before work and then just have to leave for work. And when I get home from work, I don't have the energy to write. It's the main reason I haven't done as much with YouTube as I would like, because I get home from work and all I want to do is sleep. So yeah, I don't really have a schedule. I'd love to have a schedule. I'd love to be able to say sit down at 9 o'clock every morning and know I was going to write for 2 hours, but I'm at work at 9 o'clock in the morning. Question 12, do you type on a computer, typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those? And where do you write in general? I do most of my writing on the computer, but I also have a typewriter. I've been writing more out by hand. And I also have Dragon dictation software, which I haven't used yet, but I plan to use after I've written my project out that I'm working on at the moment by hand. After I write that out by hand, I plan to do the next draft on the typewriter, and then I plan to do the draft after that, dictating it to the computer with the Dragon software, and then typing it out on the computer for a final draft or just fixing up what's on Dragon. So I'm still making up my process as I go along. And question 13, what are you looking forward to now that you're part of the AuthorTube community? And I guess that's really interacting with more writers. I already interact with a lot of writers already on the likes of NaNoWriMo and Discord and in-person writing groups, but I love having writing friends because I love learning their different techniques, and talking to other writers is a real big motivator for me with my own stories. So that is what I'm looking forward to. Thank you for listening to me on this AuthorTube Newbie Tag video, and if you'd love to do it yourself, I would love to see your videos, so tag them below.